T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. This is the Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from the fake, the fact from the fiction, and give you the winning edge. Today, our special guest is Renica L. Smith. She is in commercial insurance. Renica, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, very well. One of the things I know in business, most people focus on how they're going to get their startup capital and how they're going to manage it and doing their leverage. But the last thing they think about is protection. Tell us about your a little bit about insurance and how a small business or a large business or even people who consider themselves doing a side hustle. Tell us how you can help them in that protection area.
Well, the infamous phrase that I always say is better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yes.
And unfortunately, as a business owner, whether small or large, you think about the cost. What can you do to cut costs? Unfortunately, with insurance, you're paying on the front end or the back end, but you're going to end up paying.
Yes. Everybody
And
pays.
and the goal is to prevent as many risks on your end as possible, which is pretty much a motto of life as well. So for small businesses, I always want them to think as if they're scaling, even when they start. So with that, that would mean if you want to sell products and you just sell them out of the trunk of your car right now, is the goal to sell it online? Well, if it is, then we need to prepare you for that because anything can happen overnight. A celebrity could endorse your product and you become from small to medium sized business within a week. So what my goal would be always is to ask the right questions just to see where you are. How do you want to level up in your business?
Most people say that, you need to build a team. You need a team and you need to have the network. But I hear a lot of people say that you need an accountant and you need an attorney and then you need a person in marketing and then you might need somebody in finance. But the last person they think about is people in your profession. Why is that, do you think?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we're another bill, and which is fair. It's fair. However, if you look at it as this is a person that's part of your operations, most companies do need a director of operations or operations manager. Uh, Even for your home, you need someone who manages the household. That person is the one who is going to be day to day looking to see what needs to be taken care of that other people won't be able to see.
Okay. So, how do you position yourself to be of service to people who don't know that they really need you? Because one of the things I do know is that you really don't need insurance until you need insurance, and then it's too late to get insurance. I think you mentioned that in your introduction.
Well, the easiest way is to, which is, I'm very inquisitive. I've always been inquisitive. So the easiest way to do that is to ask about the business. What is your business? So, for example, let's just say you make drinks, simple as drinks with all these ingredients. We see the prices of certain things going up. Sometimes they go lower. You have vendors. You're at risk every time you have your product because what if I get sick?
Right.
Personally, I am allergic to watermelon. So if I buy a peach fuzz drink from you and you're using the same cups or filters or anything and I get sick and I figure out what it is, because I know when there's watermelon, I get sick immediately. You're liable for that. Are you prepared for that medical expense? Are you prepared for me not to be able to work? Who knows what my allergic reaction could be? I am a mom, so that will prevent me from doing stuff with my child. Are you prepared to take over my household and my responsibilities as well as still run your business? What if it happens to 3 to 5 other people who are allergic to watermelon, and we all specifically ordered a certain product, but it was cross contamination? Are you prepared for that? Those are the questions I would ask.
So if I have let's say my side hustle is that I have a beauty salon slash barbershop, and uh, right now I'm doing it. You know, uh, I, I just got a barber chair, and I'm just getting a booth, and but my goal is eventually to have my own shop, and maybe sell hair on the side. So when I talk to you, you'll be telling me I would need what?
Okay, if you're a barber in a shop, is this your chair? Are you renting the chair? Do you own the chair? Because that's personal property. You cannot assume that the owner of the actual shop is taking care of everything in the shop. They can take care of the building, and that's it. So I will ask you the questions of who is protecting you. Let's just say you have perfected a certain style of cutting that's cutting edge. No one's using it. Is that your brand? If you do want to sell hair, how are you going to do that? Who are your vendors? How are you going to make sure that you get the product to the person? If you're collecting payment online, that deals with cyber security insurance you may need. All of these factors. Marketing, uh, your images, your brand. All these things are things that you probably should insure.
Now, one of the first things that I really I heard about, let's say when I was in college, was a multi-level marketing, and basically, I know people who sold Mary Kay and some other products and stuff. Uh, how much liability would a person selling, Avon and Mary Kay would have? What would you recommend that they would have?
Well, the good thing about the brands that you named, they have their own insurance. So the first thing I would do would be see what they have. What are they offering me as someone that is pretty much selling under their name?
Okay.
And then you cover yourself even more. So let's just say you are the company and I work for you, and your insurance covers your employees or your independent contractors for $50,000. Well, for me, maybe I'm not comfortable with that. So I already know I have $50,000. I'm going to probably get my own $50,000 liability insurance. If I'm using my vehicle as a business, if that's the case, then if I'm an independent contractor, I'm just going to become a business altogether. So I can write off some things on my own. Sometimes for me, it's better to just be prepared to kind of cover yourself, even if you have or you're under a company that has insurance on your behalf as well.
Um, since we are, I guess, on the coming out of the pandemic, President Biden said May 2023 that all the COVID restrictions are going to probably be curtailed.
Mhm.
Uh, how would that affect people moving forward as far as the protection they need to have in their business?
Um, I, to be honest, whether he said it or not, my answer is probably going to be the same as it would have been whether he made this announcement or not. Always cover yourself.
Okay.
In And for this, I mean, If a pandemic happened again, let's just say I own a business. Let's just say I own my own bed and breakfast and I have employees. I need to make sure that I am prepared for if it happens again. So that means I need to have um, employee benefits. What if we stop working and let's just say 2 weeks like it started, then it ended up being 6 weeks? I need to be able to prepare to uh, protect my employees, my actual business, the day to day income. So I will always be prepared for something, especially when we have an example already. At least be prepared for what has already happened. Other things can happen, and I know there's recession and other talks, but just always prepare yourself no matter what.
So what advice would you give an inspiring entrepreneur regarding insurance? And most people, and I don't like to use the term small business because that to me that's almost like minor surgery. It's minor to the person who you're talking to, but it's not
Mhm.
minor to you. So
Well,
if
I mean, I agree with you. Uh, the benefit of be considered being a small business is the benefit that you get from the government. So
okay,
as long as you can get those grants and those benefits, consider yourself a small business as much as you can. But you can't be small business minded.
okay,
And with that, that means you can't look at insurance. And a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I'm wasting my money. I never have to use it. I've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars over the years, but it only takes one catastrophe for you to realize how much is needed. And because of that, I always say be sure the business you want to handle, because the things that come with it, the small business it can turn into a big business really quick, or you have to fight off a big business with your small business. Let's just say that I have a product and someone chooses to duplicate it. I need to be able to protect myself. So asking the right questions, knowing finding the right person to fit your needs as well. When I think about brokers, insurance agents, risk managers, operations, find the people who actually know your business is important. But understand insurance is so necessary. It could easily be, I could say you and I, we could be we could be rival podcast hosts, and I could say something reckless about you and your business, how you handle your business, and all over the internet. And you could easily have your lawyer contact me for defamation and anything else. Let's just say stop production for you. It did a lot of things that total out, and you have the invoices to prove such. Who's paying for that over here? If it's just me and I have no protection, all my personal assets are going to have to be used in order to take care of something that should be under my business name, and I should have insurance for that. And that's the whole thing. It's unfortunately, a lot of people think that people in underwriting or insurance are pessimists because we're always thinking about the worst case scenario, and but it helps to be an overthinker, which is probably why I'm in this profession and I have been so long, because I am a person that thinks and overthinks and thinks about what craziness can happen at one particular moment that you want to protect yourself. But that's what you need. You need somebody who's an outside of the box thinker, who thinks the most ridiculous things. Because if you find out on the news, it only takes one thing to happen. You're like, I would never believe this would happen. But there's always somebody who thought this through.
Ms. Smith, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to know the best case scenario and the worst case scenario that you actually happen to witness or heard about in your industry. We're going to take a break right now.
After the holidays are over, most Americans prepare for taxes. Titan Tax is ready to make filing your taxes as stress-free as possible. This veteran-owned virtual tax office will prepare and submit your tax return safely from the comfort of your home. If you filed unemployment for the first time or wondering about home office tax deductions, Titan Tax Professional has the answer for you. Contact us today at TitanTax.com or 757-565-7781. Titan Tax, real help from real people.
And welcome back. We have Renica L. Smith, who is a professional commercial insurance person who's been giving us a wealth of knowledge. And prior to the break, she had a perfect segue about what could happen, the possibilities, and I want to a real life scenario of the best case that you have in your career and the worst case.
Okay. And unfortunately, I'm gonna tell you, neither one are good cases because they end up being a case, though. But I'm gonna tell you the good first. I had a young lady, and her claim came on the table because there was nobody knew how to handle it. She's a first-time homeowner. She's a candle maker. And she was working out her garage. The garage caught on fire. Had nothing to do with the candle business at all. But all her supplies, everything was in the garage.
Oh my.
She did not have business insurance. However, she had a great agent who actually the reason it was a claim that was denied, and then it came back on the table because he said it should be something that we take care of. Why? Because she only was using 10% of her whole square footage, which is allowed to have a business in your home for her policy. If it was up to her, she was distraught. She would have just let it go. Maybe that would have, she would have felt defeated. She had to take care of her home. She would have lost her business. That's hard. Early 20s, you're starting off, you think you have it together, and this happens. This one incident could just shut you down. She had someone on her team, which was her agent, that advocated for her and knew what he was talking about. Because of that, everything got replaced. All her business supplies, her whole garage. That's the best worst situation to be in. Although I would have wanted her to have business insurance, thankfully she had a situation where she only used 10%, and that worked out in her favor. But that could have been a disaster. Then there's the incident of a house party, which easy enough. It's just a house party with teenagers. Unfortunately, a fight broke out. Not only did a fight break out, somebody got trampled in the process.
Wow.
The home is under the will and trust. So it's technically not a personal property. The parents were not home. The parents were not even there. The people who were fighting, the injuries were none of the people that lived in the house. And so the argument was within, when I say argument, of course, insurance companies, some of us don't want to pay immediately. The argument is someone in that house allow others to come in that house to have the party. The parents said, well, some of this should be transferred to the children that were causing the ruckus in the house. So now you have parents who have to pay out of pocket for a party that wasn't even at their home because they have to share the risk. Now, the homeowner is fine, but these other parents are not, because where's that coming from? So you have to take care of damages, injuries, and whatever else. And because the home is under will and trust, their lawyers are pretty much heavy hitters where you deal with insurance lawyers. So now these other parents have to either get their own representation that they have to pay for out of pocket as well. So you see how these small things that can happen that require insurance, you never think this would happen to you, but it can. But the both parties were covered. It's just a headache. It is a headache, but it's a better headache when you know you're not paying out of pocket.
How did you get interested in this industry?
Uh, let me
If,
tell you
well,
the truth.
give us a little background of it, that would help us walk us through how you got into this.
Okay, well, it's a quite a funny story. Um, that my insurance bill was the first bill that I had to take care of by myself, and I needed to understand why and where are they getting these numbers from. And come to find out, the first company I worked for was the company that covered my auto insurance. And I wanted to figure out who are the people who come up with these numbers. So, even now they have different categories for certain things, like red cars seem to go fast. Teenage boys drive faster than teenage girls, although now it's kind of neck and neck. But a few years ago, it was distinctive amount of teenage boys driving faster. Who are these people that come up with this? It's what I wanted to find out. Once I figured out the department was underwriting, that's all I needed. Um, I knew I had the skills to handle that. And from there on, it's been 16 years that I have been in insurance. It is not what I thought it would be because I find all these interesting things that happen in insurance. It's never the same, even with the claims or underwriting or just learning. It's never ending. It's never going anywhere. And I figured this was a good profession to be in if I wanted to be in the corporate setting.
I like to travel, and normally I go through the downtown area, and I noticed something that besides the bank buildings, the insurance buildings are some of the tallest buildings in any city or locale. And I have my own reason for that, and because I know the background of the insurance, which which we have. That's one of the I guess one of the corporations that was in this country from this inception. Um, Tell us a little bit about your education background, and let's get to know Renica L. Smith a little.
Well, I am a graduate of Alabama State University. I have also not finished my master's, but I have taken courses to get my master's in adult education and training, which is what I thought I wanted to do, possibly because I like telling people what to do. Um, and from Alabama State, I moved to Georgia, which is where I am now. I have lived in Houston as well. But when you think about the insurance industry, it's so connected to other things. And like you said, most insurance companies, they are in large buildings. Insurance and real estate kind of go together, which is why oftentimes a lot of those insurance companies own those buildings. They own that land. Um, in addition to insurance is so many layers. Everybody thinks about, your home insurance. Some people may think about personal property, auto insurance, and other things, but everything is connected to insurance if you think about it. You cannot go a day without someone saying, just like I think it was Target a few years ago when someone hacked into their system. And what happened? Everybody had to get new debit cards who made purchases. Even if it didn't affect you, who had to pay for that? Target had the right insurance to give to the banks for all everybody to get new debit cards. Everything is always connected. And I just feel like insurance was the best route for me, thinking about what I wanted to do as far as have a stable income. And I did not want to be a salesman. Although I've been told that I could be a good salesman the way I explain scenarios, but I don't think I could go that far as selling.
I know you've been in the industry over 10 years. So, what do you know now that you wish you had known at least 10 or 15 years ago about the industry?
Um, I think knowing what I know now, I think I would have started this journey earlier. I think I would have started that while I was in college. And I wouldn't change anything else. I've learned so much. I think sometimes that's the only time I don't overthink is making the decision of being in insurance and what I could have done better. I feel like to be a Black woman in any industry in corporate and doing what you would like to do in it, that is the biggest success you can have. So outside of starting early, I really don't have any. I have worked for different larger companies. I've worked for smaller companies, private and public. So my knowledge is vast. I wouldn't change that. Thankfully, my experience, I've had great mentors that were Black women along the way. So that kind of helped me. I do feel like everybody didn't have that privilege. So I'm grateful for that. So that's all it will be for me.
I'm going to get you out on this one. If you could have lunch with anybody in the past or present, who would that be? Without no relatives or any significant others involved in that.
Oh
So
boy.
who would be that be?
You know what? That's that's a tough question for me, and I only say that based on my personality. I eat by myself often, so um, and I enjoy that. If I could, and you said it couldn't be a relative, you know what? I would probably say Oprah.
Okay,
I would say
and why?
Oprah. Um, the reason why I would say Oprah is she is involved in a lot of areas. She went through a lot of things and pushed through and persevered and is tapping into a lot of areas that I would like to currently in her life. Whether it's the magazine from farming, because I would love to be a farmer, the way she lives her life, how she wants to live it outside of the societal norms. I feel like she would be a straight shooter. It does help that our birthdays are not too far apart. So that would be an easy birthday dinner or lunch. Um, and I do most of her business moves that I have seen or am I aware of. I would love to know her process of how she comes up with her next step.
Well, thank you so much. This is the Renica L. Smith in commercial insurance. We thank you so much for being our guest. And now, until we meet again, be blessed.